welcome to the Destroyers podcast. Uh, what did we do today, Chill?
We watched the history of comic books, and it was a very interesting watch.
It's called Once Upon a Time, The Superheroes, if you want to buy that. It's very good, it's very informative. It goes from,
The 30s.
yeah,
Isn't it?
like the origin of comic books up to 2002. But that's pretty much that's all you need to know. Most people know the current affairs of modern comic books and how they've taken a very, very steep decline.
Yes, unfortunately.
That's why I buy more independent comic books, but not in smaller comic book companies like Dynamite and IDW aren't small, but they've got some good titles out there, and DC's sub companies and all that, and Dark Horse, they're all better comic books these days than what is being given out by the two, maybe three big contenders. So yeah,
Three? What's this third contender?
IDW.
Oh, okay.
They've climbed up. They were more they were more on the lines of Dark Horse and Image and all that, but they managed to recently, because they've got so many license. They even make Marvel comics now. The new series of Captain Marvel. The only reason people are reading that is because they're gonna kill her off soon. But yeah, Marvel aren't writing it. It's IDW.
So is it any better than what Marvel are doing?
Fuck knows. I'm not paying money for that, to be honest. So yeah, so I've been reading stuff like 2000 AD Scarlet Traces series, which is the first book is the retelling of War of the Worlds. Then it does its own continuity about how mankind through the ages has augmented Martian technology left on Earth to benefit society. So Victorian London becomes this cybernetic metropolis where we don't use horses because we're using Martian tripod technology to make carriages that pull themselves, and we've already got planes by the 30s, commercial planes.
Sounds pretty good.
It's very good, and there's references to Doctor Who and stuff, and it's just such a good comic. Other stuff Victorian Undead, written by Ian Edgington, the guy who wrote Scarlet. He's such a good comic book writer. He wrote, he's one of my favourites now thinking about it. He wrote the two Victorian Undead books. One was Sherlock Holmes versus Dracula, and one was Sherlock Holmes versus zombies. And Moriarty comes back from the dead, and he's a zombie, and Sherlock Holmes has to fight them, and it's just cool what ifs of we took modern horror in Victorian time, and yeah, just had a fusion. It's just such a good print.
It works,
apparently.
Yeah,
it does work. So because comic book, when I was about, all my life, my dad had this massive collection of vintage comic books, so I didn't know what a new comic book was like, because all the ones I was reading was from the 60s to the 90s, and this was in the 2000s, so modern type of comic books had been around, so I wasn't that exposed to them, and I found it quite jarring how dull modern comic books are to older ones. They were just more adventurous back then.
Yeah, I can definitely, although I haven't read that much, from what I've heard from people and videos I've seen and shit, even I can see that.
Neil Adams in the documentary said, most people did, it's comic books are an escapism, and modern comic books, they bring real world problems very heavily into them, and it stops that timelessness of them. It's the same with most modern shows like Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars. They're adding contemporary problems into these stories and dating them horrendously, and it's you've taken characters that were, while design wise very much of their time, the characters were timeless. the ideas were ahead of their time. Like Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, you wouldn't think gets from when it was because it's so creative in its spectrum, and its massive problem with modern comics that they ground. You've got these ridiculous concepts that should be played upon, but they're stuck in real world problems, and it's like, well, no, one, these aren't necessarily actual problems that every person faces, so not many people can relate, and it just bogs the comic down. It's like, and it is a difference between doing Jesus symbolism and left / and or right propaganda within a comic book. It's different. The Jesus symbolism is in the grand scheme of things, is a far out iconography. It's like people who do believe in God, like myself. It's God's this. Oh, he's part of our lives and stuff. So that's fine. But I don't know, where was I going with this? I've lost track. But to the everyman, the idea of a man that goes around and heals sounds ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, so, but that's the same thing with comic books. It's like Jesus wouldn't be anything of the man he was in Method if it was a very normal situation. Like, he's like, it's cool to have with the juxtaposition, like in Spider-Man, it's cool to have that. Oh, he's facing normal problems, but he's also a superhero and he's battering the shit out of the Vulture. That works. Because
that works very well. There's a reason why Spider-Man is one of the most popular.
But these comic books, it's this social problem stuff is happening within the comics, that, like the actual like entertaining fighting bits themselves, where the drama shouldn't. That's the point where I think where the drama should not always take a backseat, and not even take a backseat, but the focus is the action. But we don't get that because now we've got superheroes saying that I won't punch you because you're this or you're that.
Fucking Ironheart.
Yeah,
so
and
isn't there something where
and
like,
they've replaced.
I won't punch you because you fucking woman. Is it that or is it something else? Or is it more than that?
I don't. That's the thing. I know of this stuff, but I couldn't pinpoint you how and where it is. It's like they brought gay Transformers, IDW did, into the comics. So Cyclonus, the Decepticon, was gay with
I
a
don't
little
mind
Autobot.
gay characters, but why would robots be gay? They have no fucking sexual feelings. They're fucking robots.
There's this whole arc in the Transformers comic where it's basically like EastEnders. They're all on this. This went for years, and it has absolutely no appeal to me whatsoever, and it's boggling. They're all on one big ship. And it's basically like, Cyclonus is with an Autobot, and there's two gay Autobots as well, and it's like, they're all just bickering. Megatron's an Autobot now, so that whole dynamic's gone.
What?
And everyone's betraying each other in this drama, and it's like, that's not Transformers.
You don't make Megatron an Autobot. Never mind all that shit you just said, which is kind of worse in a way, but that's like fucking putting Superman into Marvel.
Well, no, that would work better.
Yeah, because at least it's
like with gay characters in media in general. It's like, unless the film is it's specifically about gay pride and it's about someone's story, that's fair enough. But in an action film, we don't care if someone's straight and we don't care if someone's gay. In an action film, you're there for the action and the cool effects and stuff. We don't care whether this person's gay. We don't care if they're straight. We don't care what they do in the bedroom. It's not about that. That is not the focus of the film. The focus of the film is to see two characters in turmoil. Maybe they are gay. Maybe we see them kiss their missus or husband or whatever before they leave. But that's not that should be that. Dark Crystal did this well. Deep just nonchalantly goes, yeah, my two parents. My two parents. My two dads, she says. And it's like, cool. Didn't brag about it. That's fair enough. Gay people exist. That's cool. But no, these things, it's the whole crux of the story. And it's like, they're so boring. boring. There's no reason to be reading this because every comic is like it.
Yeah, we're like, alright, this doesn't really have much to do with comics, but could you imagine if in, like, Rambo, it ends with part 1 all that, and then it's part 2, he's like, it's about him struggling coming out to be gay.
Yeah.
Instead of what we get.
That wouldn't be a good Rambo film because it doesn't work within the media.
Even if all the action scenes were the same, it'd be like, well, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like,
you just bored me for half an
plus,
hour.
Who cares if Rambo's gay? It's not about that. It's about a man struggling with PTSD from the Vietnam War and lashing out because he's got fucked over.
Right, that might have been a terrible example, but it was just what was going in my head right now.
No, it is. Yeah, because that's not the crux of the film. He's not killing people because he's gay. And if they shoehorn something like that in there, it wouldn't work because that's not what Rambo's about. If Rambo from day one was written, oh, it's about a man who does this because he's struggling to come out as gay, then it'd be like, right, that's that franchise then.
It'd probably be a bit overboard what he'd be doing because he's struggling, but whatever.
But coming into an existing long-term healthy franchise and putting different prospects into it ruins the whole thing that people were there for in the first place. And some people don't mind, and that's fine. But the majority of people don't like it. Majority of people don't want that because you're changing something someone cares about dearly. And
most of the time, there's no rhyme or reason behind it.
Yeah.
Just besides, we're doing this just because it's popular now.
It's not real world where, they can't help being this way. It's written. It's imagined up by someone. It's fiction. It doesn't need to be so driven like this because it can be quite depressing as well. Watching someone struggle for something they can't help. And that would work in a film of that kind, but not in something that's supposed to be fantastical and magical and colourful. Although the gay pride flag is colourful, so that's a bit of a contradoxy moron.
Like, I don't know if something was advertised as like an action film about like this problem as well, and again I wouldn't have a problem with it because that's how it's advertised. But I'd probably watch it.
It's because it's getting shoehorned into stuff. It's like Captain Jack was bisexual in Doctor Who, and we knew that, but they didn't, he made a couple of jokes about it, and then he kissed the Doctor before he went to sacrifice his life, basically, but he also kissed Rose, and it's like, he's just showing his affection, and he flirts with everyone, and that is his character, but not every character's like that. Captain Jack is like one grain
he was
of
probably
rice.
written like that from day one.
And it makes him stand out, it makes him cool, it makes him unique. But when every other character's, a bit like, they're a demisexual, whatever, it's just makes it boring. Like, Captain Jack stood out because he was such this unique man in the show. There was no one like him. He was flamboyant but heroic. But these people aren't written like that. They're written as whinge bags. Captain Jack's sexuality was an aspect of his overall character. It was not his. Yeah, his character is a campy, swashbuckling adventurer who has troubles with his past and has been through time and space. That's his character. So it shouldn't matter that he's gay. It's cool that he is. That's how you expose. If you want this stuff to get normalised, you've got to do it like Captain Jack. You've got to do it like Mac.
Yeah, Mac.
Mac's a perfect example of doing this stuff.
And you know what? Like, you know what you were saying, like, about thing. I know I don't know if they planned it from season 1, but it's like how they did it anyway.
Yeah.
It worked, because it wasn't just like, we done it. Like, it's slowly and slowly.
And it didn't.
Put in, like,
and it didn't affect who he was as a person. It was still very much Mac. He didn't suddenly become a different person. He was just Mac, and he happens to be gay. But the character of Mac never went. He didn't suddenly become camper, more androgynous. He didn't become more feminine. He was just a gay man. And that episode where Mac I think it's called Mac Finds His Pride, and he does that dance in front of the prisoners to try and express himself to his dad. It's beautiful because it's so.
That's not out of character for a start, like, because he's...
No,
like,
he's always been doing stuff like, when he did the extreme bike stuff. But it was that thing of, I don't know, fuck, my memory went.
I don't blame you. The newest season of It's Always Sunny isn't the best. Like, I'll admit, the first time I watched it, I don't know if it's because I wasn't enjoying the last few episodes already, but I wasn't that into it. But then, with another rewatch, I was like, yeah, this episode's good.
I've got quite a weird relationship with It's Always Sunny because I know chunks, but when I go and watch it again, I'll just click on a random episode and just watch a chunk from after. So I know massive chunks of story, but then there's complete holes that I'm not getting. But one of my favourite episodes is the fucking water slide one.
Oh my god.
Max saying, don't go near the air vents, and at the end, you know the story you told about the girl who got her intestines sucked?
Yeah, that actually
it's fucking real. And I
yeah.
saw a documentary of it, and it made me very sad because she's basically carrying all her guts around. No, she's got like artificial guts in a bag, and she gets fed through a tube, and she's like really short, and it's like, that is really...
Like, no, Mac, what are you doing? You warned everyone about this.
Oh, the bit where Danny DeVito goes down the fucking slide. I thought the
put like a bottle of water in there. Yeah, that should be enough water. What, break it down there.
It's really far away, but you see the specks of blood as he charges back down the slide. There's attention to detail, and then he just... And Dennis scares me. Dennis is
Dennis is a serial killer.
Yeah, there are theories that he's like heavily a serial killer.
Yeah, I know. Like, it was one of those theories that like made me convinced. I was like, yeah, he's definitely a serial killer. Remember the promotional art for last year?
Oh, when they were in the cabin, it was like Evil Dead.
That's just Dennis. I'm telling you. Like,
because there's that episode, and they're like he gets for it, like they're doing a documentary on a killer, and they keep. Like,
was that a 2-parter? It's the McPoyle wedding.
No,
it's not. No, it's not.
He's killed before and he'll kill again. That's all we're saying. But one of my favourite ones is the one where Frank and Charlie start like hoarding trash. And Dennis he becomes a hippie. He wants to become a hippie with decent intentions at first, and then the guy fucks him over, so he convinces him to chain himself to a tree, and he goes fucks his girlfriend. It's just like, oh yeah, dear Mac of the baby.
More in the seasons later on, that Dennis becomes like more and more of a failure with women.
Yeah, He's on the brink. Oh, Dennis is. He'll do something. He'll do something.
Yeah, definitely. And he'll somehow get away with it.
That's the timeless. that is the timeless thing with It's Always Sunny. It's because they're all so childish. It doesn't matter how old they get, as long as they still act as childish as they are.
Right.
The humour will always work, and it might get funnier with age when they're like 60. Theoretically,
like what's even funnier is it's like they're all like in their like fucking early, like late 30s, early 40s or whatever, and then you've got like a fucking 60-year-old of them.
Oh, yeah.
But like he works. Like you wouldn't think it would work, but it does.
Yeah, because he's just as pathetic as it when he first came.
And it's Danny DeVito.
Yeah,
so.
When he first came in, he was a straight man. He was the moral support, and then slowly they wore him down into one of them, and now he's even more disgusting than they are.
Because in the first episode, wasn't he like, "Oh, I'm rich. I'm gonna give my money to charity."
Something
and now he's like probably like the biggest scumbag of them all of them.
Yeah, he's just got like that one in Mac Finds His Pride where he's bust his nose, so he starts clogging it up with like lemon juice, and his whole front of his face swells up with like pus and blood.
No, I think that's the one when he's holding a beauty contest for little girls.
No, he's wearing makeup in that one. That's what it is. He's got like mortician's makeup on. He looks
There's
like
no
the penguin.
bleeding in that one as
He
well,
might
though.
bleed in it, but this is in Max Fine's part. He's just like his whole like front of his head's like swollen up, but he can't see it. And he's got to drive the Pride truck, isn't he? And then you just cut through him, and like he's just got like blood all down him, but his face is normal again. It's like, what did he do? Did he like put pressure on his face and then just squeeze all the pus and blood out? That's a lovely image I've given you guys. Ha! You're welcome.
I want to know how he did that, because like for like a sitcom, that's done pretty well.
Yeah, it's really
better than some
uncanny
films where they
makeup.
have a massive budget to do such a thing.
Yeah, it's such a. It's like when it's round his eyes, it doesn't look very good, but the whole rest of the face does. But the thing of the.
And they put that's the thing. It's a sitcom. They're not trying to like put loads of detail in.
Yeah, although
even if they are, they don't have quite the same budget.
Cricket's boons look really mank in the best way possible.
Yeah.
They're just
like
they are horrid looking. You just if you touched them, it'd be like mice.
I think Cricket's gonna die soon.
He'd be haunting the toilets as a ghost. No, that would be an episode if Cricket died.
And
It'd
in
be
the
like
next episode, he'd be haunting the toilets.
only Charlie
Or
can
that.
see him, and it turns out Charlie's been like sniffing carbon monoxide and not knowing it, so he thinks the ghost of Cricket's down the base.
And it's
Down the
like it
basement
turns out,
of the pub.
it turns out he's not even dead. Like he's just like no one's seen it.
They found like his hat on the floor and assumed he died.
Charlie Day, if you make this episode, we want our money.
Please, we skint.
We're huge fans. We won't ask for much.
Right.
Just like enough where whenever you give your ideas, people say, I've heard you're a decent guy. Do the right thing.
Don't listen to Chili. He mucha. Yeah, I have a theoretical for you, and it involves scale.
Oh, okay.
You know, if they took every turd that every living creature has
Including
ever
humans.
made, including humans, every breathing thing that defecates, if they got every turd in history and made an island with a mountain out of it, how fucking big do you think it would be? And the sea around it.
I think it would be so big that even Godzilla himself would struggle to knock it over.
And the sea around it.
It wouldn't
It's
be sea anymore.
Piss. No, it's
Oh, wait,
everyone's
that's-
piss in history. All contained. I think it
Yeah,
would...
everyone would just think it was cat piss because that would smell so bad. Nobody would even notice the shit
Oh, it would
smell
be-
or the piss. They would just smell pure cat piss.
People would die coming into contact with this little...
It'd be the new Bermuda Triangle.
It'd be its own planet, I think. I think it would be just one sea of piss with a couple of small islands of turds, and then just this massive, like, 500-foot mountain of just shit from all the ages. Yeah, I thought I'd ask you that theoretically. I found it quite... I was legitimately comprehending it the other day. Because I had this nightmare when I was a kid. Like, I've never liked my grandfather. And even when I was a kid, I got that he was bullshit. Like, the way I've sussed it now, he's a bullshit merchant. And in this dream when I was about 3, that's exactly what he was doing in my nan's spare room. He had a suit on like Del Boy, he was like that. And he brought everything, and he opened the airing cupboard, and the airing cupboard was packed with black bags, like taut with shit. And he was selling it to people, and I was just like, you're just full of bullshit. I used to have loads of weird fucking dreams about my grandfather. One was the nice grandfather, the real one, was trapped up the attic, and he had an evil clone in his place. And my father had to hide me in a backpack where I talked to Ubos, the Ultimate Book of Spells, if you remember that cartoon. While my dad, who was Action Man in the dream, to tie it in, was like, yeah, he was in the orange and white Action Man spacesuit thing, and he was punching the shit of this evil clone of my grandfather. And in the second one, turns out my grandfather was an alien in a human mask. And he took it off, and it was just like a standard grey alien. But that time I had to fight him. I hit him with my lightsaber, and he died. Best dream ever. Successful. I hate that, man.
Yeah,
Terrible.
that reminds me of a story I had. When I was a kid, I used to both adore and be terrified of the Hulk. And one day I was in Butlins. I don't know how old I was because I can't remember. So, like, you know, I could have been older than I was supposed to be for all I know. I saw the Hulk. He was a lot bigger than I thought he would be. And I ran away from him. And then I fell over. And he helped me up. And from that day forward, I had never been terrified of him since.
I got shook up with karma in a holiday camp. I killed a bee. And my mother was like, "You're going to regret that." And then later on in the day, I was running and I tripped over my sandals and scuffed my leg. So the whole holiday in the lakeland, I was just really superstitious of everything I did. So I was like, if I damage something, I'll get damaged. And
So
we went to
like one of those holidays where you tried to have fun, but you just couldn't.
Oh, it was
because you was super,
pissing down every single day. We went to the Beatrix Potter Museum. It was fucking pissing down. We went to one of the many lakes in the Lake District, and it was pissing down. We sat inside, it was pissing down. We went to sleep, it was pissing down.
So it was pissing down, and you thought, oh, I know, I'll go where there's more water.
Yeah, I know. But it was only pissing down there, where we lived, which was Lincolnshire at the time. It was dry as a fucking bone, and everyone was out their back gardens. But because it's Lakeland, it's like super Swansea, it pisses down nearly every single day, because the amount of moisture in the area, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I'd hate to live there.
I won't mind living in it. I don't mind the rain. But you know when you're a kid and you want to do the fun stuff, it's a drag. It's nothing like North Wales, which is also quite rainy and misty, but it's cool. It's got this like fantastical Lord of the Rings medieval vibe up there, and there's like the legends up there, and you've got like Port Miriam, where they filmed The Prisoner and the Doctor Who story Mask and the Mandragora, and I'm fucking babbling on about bullshit nobody cares. Isn't that great? No. Anyway.
Yeah, the whole point of a podcast.
Bitch! Nah, man. Yeah,
I made you lose your train of thought now, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, and another thing that, another thing that was in Port Marion is because they filmed one episode story of Doctor Who there, they had the 11th Doctor's figure set. It was £100, and it's got one of each Doctor up till Matt Smith in there.
Oh.
And I wanted it so bad, but no, my mother couldn't afford it. Well, it's not her fault, but my mother couldn't afford it. Curse you, mother! All the way to Winch Wen. That's not that far, it's about 5 minutes away, and by car. For those with a point of reference. I'll curse it to there. I think that's a good place to curse someone. Sing her rock hallelujah, ooh, and other such lyrics by Lordy. Yeah. I want to talk about Zelda for 5 minutes, if that's cool.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll come back and do Zelda properly. Like, we'll probably do Let's Plays of it as well, eventually.
I'm on it. I ain't even... It's not even because of Link's Awakening. I'm just on a fucking Zelda kick at the moment. Because I ain't even got a Wii U, let alone a Switch.
I wouldn't bother with a Wii U from what I've heard.
I want to play Wind Waker HD. It's enough.
Is that not on the Switch?
No.
Okay,
it's Breath of the Wild.
That's
and
probably the easiest
I'm
way
fine
to
that,
acquire
like,
that game.
if I could get a GameCube copy, but every time I buy a GameCube copy, it's always American. And I
Have
can't
a look in second-hand shops. You might get lucky.
I've been
one
looking
day.
for about 7 years, mate.
Well, you never know. One day you might get lucky.
And I've bought 3 different copies from 3 different places, and all of them are American. And it won't be so bad, but they're £30 pop. So it's a bit of...
Does Nintendo not have, is Nintendo region locked, or is it the GameCube Wii at least region locked? Like, the Switch has probably solved that by now. Like, I don't know. I haven't got one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think you can play other countries' DS games. You can play Australian DS games because they both run on PAL. Not sure about American DS games. Never had one. I don't think, at least. And if I did, I wouldn't know because he played it anyway. So it's, it's all good. Anyway, Zelda. Fucking love it. I don't know what it is about it. There's something. It's so unique.
There's definitely nothing like it. Like, some things try to replicate it, but they can't even do that. Like,
It's so
you
colourful.
it can't be ripped off.
It's so
like,
colourful. Even Twilight Princess.
Yeah, even the dark game. I was about to say, even the dark games are colourful. Like Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask.
I mean, Twilight Princess is basically grayscale, but the design helps as well because the design's so unique. It's such a dull world. When there is colour, it stands out really nicely.
Like, the beginning of the game looks beautiful.
Ordon Ranch music reminds me of Christmas because it's got like an English or French horn in it, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And I've downloaded the 10-hour version onto my laptop for when I'm sleeping because I'm that sad. It's very sad, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. What was wrong with an hour version?
Who sleeps for an hour? I want to play him while I'm sleeping. I want to dream that song.
While you sleep.
I want to dance with that song under the moon, in the sea. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, man. Yeah, I've just been on this like there's so many like game theories that I'm like I wish they were true. Like, there's this one that Majora's Mask, is actually Girahim's essence within Majora's Mask, and Girahim is one of the bad guys from Skyward Sword, which is the first chronologically. So he's been there since day one, and it's just a manifestation of all his evil, and the Sheikah have been trying to hide it in like locked places, but the Happy Mask Salesman found it when he came to Hyrule in Ocarina of Time, and now he's got it in Majora's Mask. Nice. So it's one of those theories that it's more than plausible. It almost sounds too perfect. Works fantastically.
Nintendo, steal from your fans.
No, they already take away a lot. They do. Sega. Someone makes a fan game. Sega see it. Come and work for us. Nintendo see a fan game. No, we're shutting it down.
Yep.
It's nah.
Why I will always prefer Sega over Nintendo. I like Nintendo. I like what they're doing. I wish I carried on with them. But I'm sorry, but into my adult life I can only afford one system and Sony.
I'm a Nintendo fan frick.
I'm trying to get back into Nintendo whenever. I've got my Wii set up again.
Just buy Twilight Princess, Squidward Sword.
And I'm also saving up for a Switch for Breath of the Wild mainly.
And Link's Awakening.
I'll probably get Mario Odyssey as well.
Yeah. And get Switch Sports Wii U plus extra. That's my favourite game. It's the one where you plug all the consoles in with each other, and then they form into God, and he takes you to heaven.
Hey, the Wii Sports games are harmless fun.
I like the Wii Sports games. The golf is relaxing, except when it's fucking infuriating. But apart from
golf is my I mean, it can be good when it works, but sometimes I swear it just doesn't.
I like what's it called now? It's not the proper tennis. It's when you just hit the tennis ball up against the wall.
Oh yeah, the training sections.
Yeah, yes. I like that. I do.
I like those.
I like the bowling you just sit there and the bowling one's ridiculous.
With the massive pins. And all the boxing ones are fun.
Just get someone, the second player, to look like someone you hate, and then just punch a shit out of them.
And you know, to be fair as well, for a game that was advertised as 5 sports games, there's quite a lot in that package.
Wii Music's a travesty though.
Oh, I know. It's, again, harmless fun in a way. You can get it for £1. It's not worth any more than £1, like, seriously.
I'm trying to play a cohesive drumline along with this new band I have formed out of many meets. And what I'm doing is a very cohesive drum beat. And I'm doing exactly what the game wants me to do. But I could be going... And it comes out as...
Did you see the footage when they showed it?
And Miyamoto's it's
Miyamoto and a
cringy.
bunch of fucking I don't know who
He's
they are.
awful at pitching games. Well, Nintendo are at these things because they always show off. Oh, we've got this new system with a gimmick, and it's all well and good in like theory. But when they go to present it to you, it's just Miyamoto and maybe like Eiji Aonuma standing on the stage with an American guy, and they're trying to play this game really awkwardly, and Miyamoto's just there with this big doofy grin,
Didn't
just looking
something
at
similar
everyone.
happen in Skyward Sword where like Miyamoto was trying to demonstrate the Wii motion aspect and it wasn't working properly?
Yeah, I don't know, it's like you see some like pictures at these expos and stuff, and they're god awful. But with Nintendo, it's like they've honestly tried, and they've just fucked up.
Isn't that why they've like switched to Nintendo Direct? Because they realise there's like we're better off doing it this way.
Yeah, because it's like everything's pre-recorded, and if it goes wrong, they can do it again. Like whereas live, it just comes across as really bizarre.
Yeah, like I mean, like Nintendo make kinds of games where it's like if you try to do it live, if you're trying to claim this game live, you're gonna fuck up. Like, because it just can't be explained on the spot.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like Nintendo put too many like contraptions in their games as well, so it's not like one of those you pick up the weapon and you fight and that's the main mechanic of the game. It's there's this gimmick and then there's this gimmick, and if you put this item on this character then you'll do something else and you've got to learn how to do that. And where it's just good, it's not good for improvisation or showcasing.
no, I mean, like, in a way, I wish they'd make a console where it's like it's back to their old roots. You just have a controller, you have your game, you pick it up.
I'd
There's
like
no
that.
motion bullcrap, no fucking gyroscope, like nothing.
It's just the
Like
system.
the touchscreen's a good idea, and I can
Yeah.
benefit. Like
Yeah.
keep that maybe, but
yeah, it's just, and I don't know. Yeah, these gimmicks, they just don't. They date the consoles more. Well,
yeah, like I said, like I like the touchscreen because it makes some games go like Mario Maker 2 could not be made without that.
yeah.
Like,
But that's the thing, these games rely heavily on these gimmicks.
yeah, like there's some like they brought out the Nintendo Switch Lite, right? And yes, you can connect your external controllers that you already own. But what if you don't have those because you don't have a Switch yet, and you think, oh, I'll buy this, it's cheaper and it's probably easier for me.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got to go buy 2 controllers because you can't play many of the games.
Yawning. I think Nintendo should keep all their gimmicky consoles for like handheld stuff, and then their main.
Oh, yeah, it kind of works for the handheld stuff, like the DS. Like I mean,
Because it's like, whoa, this quirky little
like,
thing.
I don't
when
know
they
what
can play games
like
on.
I've heard some terrible things about their gyroscope system on the 3DS. But,
I don't mind. Yeah, I like it.
like, and it probably depends on the game you're playing too. Like
Looks fine with
I
Legends
haven't
Zelda.
played it, but Sonic Lost World on the DS, there's the special stages. You have to like get up and like move.
Who'd
fucking
wanna play that?
everywhere? Like you have to like go like behind you and everything. Like that's not good.
Yeah. It's
Like where you can sit down and use it, because odds are you're sitting down. Like that's fine. Like if you just like you
Yeah.
can't see me, but
But when you're trying to play a proper big game and it requires what are they called? Gimmicks, it gets distracting. Like I'm not too keen on how Phantom Hourglass. Spirit Tracks is a bit better, but I don't like that thing of it so heavily on the stylus. I feel quite
yeah, you have to
restricted
move
by
with
it.
the fucking. Isn't the Mario 64 on the DS like that as well?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
No, I think there is an option for that.
Yeah, you
It's
can.
not
Yeah,
necessary.
but with Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
And yeah, it is better to use the D-pad for as awkward as it can be because you're playing a 3D game.
Yeah, but you can only use a
But
stylus.
it's
and
optional and it kind of works. Like it depends on what level you're playing. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
it's easier to just use the D-pad, even though it's a little
Yeah,
bit awkward.
but in these Zelda games,
Or-
all you can use is the stylus and the touchpad, and I don't feel as immersed in the games.
no, 'cause, like, if you need to like go onto the screen, you have to like
Yeah.
stop in where you go. Right, well, granted, you have to do that anyway, but the world around you is like paused, and it doesn't feel like
It's like the
it's by a
the
push of a
stylus
button
should be
rather
done.
than trying to touch the screen like 3 or 4 times to get something to work.
Yeah, the screen should, like, the touch screen should be left for like items to gimmick the items. But the map's on the top screen, and then you have to bring it down to the bottom screen. It's like leave the map on the bottom screen as a thing to click on. use the top screen and use the D-pad. It's much more enthralling because you haven't got a hand in your face doing your own hand in your face blocking off the screen, and it's
there's that too.
You don't get so much hand fatigue as you do constantly holding a stylus.
I didn't play Spirit Tracks, but like
music
how
in Spirit Tracks is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
The story's less tedious more than anything. In fact, Muglass, you have to do a temple and then go back to the original temple and then go out and do another temple and come back, and it was just all that. Where Spirit Tracks sort of streamlined that whole thing to make it a bit more
Zelda-y.
Yeah, cause, like Zelda's about the puzzles, but they're supposed. I don't like this tediousness in between the puzzles in the dungeons. It doesn't help lighting up the atmosphere a bit, because you're like, oh, I'm going over here and then I gotta go back to this place, and then so the quest never feels like you've completed a section of it, because you still gotta go back, and then once you've done that bit, you've gotta go do the next one. It's just like, nah, man, just let me explore. I mean, you can, but I don't feel it feels that way.
Yeah, I didn't get that feeling either. And I don't know about Phantom Hourglass is the one I did play, I think. Wait, the first one, whatever the first one is.
Yeah, Phantom Hourglass.
Boring.
It is.
Fucking boring. Like, ugh.
First Zelda game I played. I had it on a...
Me too, I think, actually.
What are they called? You know, like the TTDS or the R4 cards where you had, like, loads of games. I had Phantom Hourglass, Pokemon Pearl, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Ranger. That was a good game, that was fun.
Yeah, the second one's good as well. Did you play that?
Not Shadows of Almia.
It might be.
I think I own Shadows of Almia. I'm not sure, I don't know which ones are. Yeah. A bit more slice of life, and they take a bit to get off, but once you're out and you're using that spinny thing to catch Pokemon, it's like, whey!
Yeah, see, that's a game that uses the touchscreen well. Like,
because the rest of the game isn't overthrown by the gimmick.
Yeah, because I think, isn't that the only time you use it besides maybe selecting some items?
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't even know if selecting the items is with the touchscreen. I think that's done the traditional way.
I like how the Mystery Dungeon games and the Pokemon Range games don't feel locked down to the style of normal Pokemons, but they've got their own tone, and it's cooler spin-offs.
Yeah, they don't rely on the, like, real games to...
Yeah. It's like, they don't affect the overall atmosphere of the main titles, so they've got their own atmosphere, but they still fit in with the universe, because it's still very much that sort of game.
And the stories are better, especially with Mystery Dungeon. The second game, Explorers of Time and Darkness, is like...
Oh, mate, that was the first Pokemon game I ever played. I got it for 12 quid in game. Which, do you remember when Borders was down Forest Park? Before they were shutting down? They had a game in there. I went in, I wanted a Pokemon game. My mother was like, go on then. And I went in and I saw Pokemon Mystery Dungeon because it was the cheapest, and I was like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to play it. And I went home and it fucking blew my mind. Music's banging. The whole style of the game
that music
banging.
is too good for a DS game.
It's just so... It oozing atmosphere. It's absolutely just oozing atmosphere.
That game is a masterpiece.
I don't know. I just wish games were like they were. I don't know.
No. Games are still good.
I don't like anything modern. I'm a vicious little bitch.
No, like, seriously, if you had a PS4 and you played such games as, okay, maybe you wouldn't be into some of these, but Spider-Man you'd probably like, because it's like the best Spider-Man game ever made.
Spider-Man 2.
Oh no, this is better. Seriously.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 is not as good as everyone thinks it is.
Spider-Man 2 chili.
It's not that good. It's not that good.
I'll cry.
You know what's... That's not even like the best PS2 Spider-Man game.
Oh, the sacrilege I'm hearing. Ooh.
I prefer Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ooh, booyah. I'm singing this to calm you down.
Did you play Ultimate Spider-Man?
On DS?
I wasn't aware it was on DS, and that makes me quite sad.
Platformer. It was actually very good.
Oh.
The sequel,
that
fucking terrible.
Wait, there's a sequel?
Yeah. Is
that only on DS? Because I swear
maybe.
That's not on PlayStation 2. Wait, are you thinking of the same game? Do you play as Venom at all?
No, it's Spider-Man versus Green Goblin in the second one. No, it's got something like Battle for New York or something vague and trashy.
Oh, but I like Ultimate Spider-Man on PS2. It uses like sort of a comic-y style.
Yeah, that's what the
format.
DS game does. Yeah.
The only thing I'll say, the web slinging hasn't aged as well, but it's better than Spider-Man 2.
No, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2. It's a whole of New York. It's the whole of New York and its secret little
Spider-Man
crew.
on PS4 is the whole of New York.
Pizza Time.
That's back. It's back. The theme is the Pizza Time music is back.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But it's not the original.
It doesn't have to be the original. And they even have PS1 models on a boat from the PS1 game.
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 is better wall crawling, I'll give you that.
It has better everything than Spider-Man 2.
It doesn't.
Spider-Man 2!
Both of the Spider-Man PS3 games are better.
He probably agrees with me.
Both of the Spider-Man PS3 games are better. Shattered Dimensions and the other one.
Shattered Dementia?
No. I can't remember what the other one's called. It's good. It's Edge of something.
Edge of...
Something to do with an edge.
Edge of the Wink.
I don't know. I think I'm one of the only people that likes that game though.
I never played.
No, because you know how most Spider-Man games you're out in the open and all that.
Oh yeah.
In this one, the second PS3 game, to my knowledge, you're like mostly indoors.
Indoors.
But I don't have a problem with that. Like,
Spider-Man doesn't need to be indoors. He's a web slinger. He needs a city.
He has the space to web sling, but I don't know. This game's more combat than web slinging, and that's fine. Like, I mean. You need Spider-Man to web sling, yes, but you play for the combat more.
Inside, that's like making a Batman game in a cage.
No, it works though. It seriously
What's
works.
it called now? Into the Shattered...
Shattered Dimensions is the first one, where you play as Spider-Man from 4 different timelines.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man 1.
Normal. One of them's Venom, Spider-Man, black suit, whatever.
Yeah, symbiote.
One of them's Noir Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Noah.
And it's, the fourth one is 2099. And then in the next game, it's a past and future game with the original Spider-Man and the 2099 one.
Oh.
And the story is fantastic.
I need to play these, maybe.
You should.
Do you know, I know comic book artists.
You do?
Yeah. Simon Williams, and I don't know Jason Cardy as much, but Simon Williams is a cool man. Shout out to Simon Williams. Yeah, I met him at a little con called Heroes and Legends. And I was about 15, 16, and I showed him my artwork, and he was like, yeah, you got potential. And I saw him the year after, and he was like, I haven't seen him in years now. But then, yeah, I met him like a good couple of times, and then out of the blue, I get a tap on my shoulder, and then I turn around, and I'm in college, and it's Simon Williams and Jason Cardy standing behind me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, didn't you know? Don't I know what? We used to study here. And it's like, what? Who's the lecturer? Maz. The same lecturer as I got, yeah. And then they did a whole talk in my classroom, just with my class of like 15 people, and they kept bringing me up to like talk about stuff, and I was asking them questions, and then they hung around me afterwards, and they told me what it was like for them in college. So fucking cool. And like Simon Williams does very like 70s and 80s style comic book art, but digitally. But it's still got like, you know, David Hasselhoff. I was gonna call him William Shatner then. Same man.
Oh yeah, completely the same people.
Absolutely. You know what I'm on about, don't you? The Hasselhoff is Shatner really community. You know, I bet that conspiracy exists. I bet there is
Are these the same people that came up with Keanu Reeves being immortal because there's many people in different timelines on painted walls that look like him?
Yeah, or Ted Bundy did nothing wrong. Do you know Chris Chan's one of those?
That doesn't surprise me. Chris Chan's a fucking donut licker.
Countdown Killer was doing a fucking interview with Chris Chan. Like Chris Chan believes he's a Sonichu. He's like half Sonichu, and so is his father.
That's just he made that up. How can he think it's him?
Oh, because people are convinced him there's this whole dimensional merge gonna happen where every fictional original character's gonna merge with our universe.
So it's imagination land.
Yeah, and people have convinced him that this is gonna happen. He believes it.
He thinks that whoever told him this at first probably got the idea from Imagination Land. So he thinks that that's gonna happen. He thinks that our imaginations from that everyone has come up with throughout the years.
Fucking Toontown is gonna live with us. It's gonna be Roger Rabbit, mate. It's gonna be like Roger Rabbit.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what he thinks. He thinks Roger Rabbit is he probably thinks Roger Rabbit is a documentary on the future.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dan Giller's doing this interview with him. And, yeah, so he's asking Chris Chan, like, who the actual, like, Sonichus in our real universe. Chris lists him, his father, and Ted Bundy. so he's
there's only 3 of them.
It's that
one of them is Ted
my
Bundy,
father,
is Ted Bundy
and
still
Ted
alive?
Bundy. I don't know. And then Daniel's like, Ted Bundy, the serial killer, and he's like, suppose serial killer. He's one of these Ted Bundy sympathizers. Like, how can you fucking sympathize? Like,
why
with
are
this
there
man?
people sympathizing? Isn't there like a lot of evidence that he did it? Like.
Yeah.
Like, didn't he admit to it? Isn't he one of these ones who admitted to it? Like,
probably. I don't know. I don't know.
That's the thing. My mother, talks about serial killers all the time. So sometimes I get confused with who's who sometimes.
It's John Wayne Bundy Gacy, Larry Bundy Jr., GuruLarry.com.org, UK. That's who all the serial killers are. Charles Manson is Rob Zombie before he was Rob Zombie. That's another conspiracy theory that
Charles Manson is Rob Zombie, and he's directed
and he's Frank Zappa. He's Rob Zombie and he's Frank Zappa, and he's Lynyrd Skynyrd. All of them. He's all of Lynyrd Skynyrd, and he's also John Carpenter. They're all the same man. So yeah, John Carpenter is Rob Zombie, and he also upset himself and he remade his own film. I bet you didn't know this. Brilliant knowledge. He remade his own film, and then he hated his own film, so we had an argument with himself, and then he fell out with himself for a couple of years. But it's all good now. Rob Zombie loves himself. He's always loved himself.
Did John Carpenter have an argument with Rob Zombie about the remake?
Yeah, it was Rob Zombie. From what I can tell from media, he's not very good at taking criticism. Like, I personally don't mind his films with his own characters, House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects and all that. I find them good. They're his own thing. But he did Halloween, but it was very Rob Zombie and it didn't quite work. And John Carpenter didn't like it.
It's not bad though, is it?
It's okay.
Like, it's not a bad film. It's not exactly.
If it was his
Halloween.
own thing, it'd be fine.
Like, it should have been an homage rather than a remake.
But he doesn't know how to write women characters, so they all come across as.
They're all just all his women all his women characters are the same. They're psychotic sluts who want everybody.
Yeah.
And they're just fucking angry.
Yeah, but yeah,
they're all the
John
same.
Carpenter said, "I don't like this film," and I think, don't quote me on it, to put it bluntly, basically, Rob Zombie went, "Fuck you, cunt," to him. Something like that. I might be getting this completely wrong, but this is what I remember. This was a while ago. And they were, and then it was sort of like, oh, we don't like each other, sort of thing. But then they made it up, as mature people do of their ages. Yeah, Rob Zombie's an old man. And he's talking about fucking people on the UFO. Can I talk about how bad Rob Zombie's music is?
He has music.
Yeah, he's a musician. He was in White Zombie, then he did Rob Zombie, and then he became a director. All his songs sound the same. It's just him angrily shouting over very bland industrial rock. And it's just, he's got one or two good songs, like Dragula and Living Dead Girl, but everything else is just, they just sound so repetitive, and the lyrics are like the characters he writes, or they're just about sex, and or sex and monsters, and it's like, that's cool every now and again, but just do monsters or do sex, because they don't really work as a constant in a song. And Rosie writes for Sherry Moon Zombie, chronic. She's always like a slut. It's like, that's your fucking wife, mate.
Didn't he like swap character roles from House of a Thousand Corpses to Devil's Rejects? Like,
no. How do you mean?
Like, didn't he like swap two characters around for the actresses?
No. Not that I remember. No.
Well, I don't know. They do look similar.
It's the same people's, I think. I'm not sure, but should we call it a day?
Yeah.
We've got 55 minutes, man.
Yeah. I think we've got enough.
That's a Gale time of a podcast.
Yeah, it's exactly 7 minutes longer than our other one, or maybe not. I don't know.
The other one's 40 something, like 42 minutes.
Okay, I don't know how to tell time.
No, me. It's 1:30 cloth.
What is the time? Holy shit, it's 5 to 1. Yeah, I think we should definitely call this.
Alright, goodbye, people.